Materialism makes you intellectually, spiritually, and psychologically retarded.
From the progressive worldview, you are a Nazi.
See it without completely, without, because people...
Without becoming insane.
Yeah, yeah, without becoming...
No, seriously.
See it without completely, without, because people...
Without becoming insane.
Yeah, yeah, without becoming...
No, seriously, because you can, if you delve too much into this kind of universe of self-referential contradiction, you can go insane. So you can lose everything. So the idea is not to, I mean, my interest in traditional cosmology doesn't come at the cost of scientific knowledge, in my opinion. Not at all. They're not opposed. They are, but they shouldn't be. They should team up,
yeah,
if possible. People who are materialists have to understand, if that is going to eventually happen, is that traditional cosmology should not be interpreted in terms of materialism.
Right.
Because when you do that, it's ridiculous. So they're right, in a way.
Yeah, exactly.
When they laugh at religion, when they laugh at the religious worldview and the traditional worldview, they find it ridiculous. They're right. Because the reason is they're trying to look at it with their own lens, their own materialism. They're trying to look at something that's fundamentally not materialistic. So, yeah, it doesn't work. It's ridiculous.
We've been told that we are just meat suits, biological machines, accidental monkey goovolution products floating on a damp rock in a cold, dead, empty universe, and the only thing that matters is how much comfort, pleasure, and wealth we can hoard before we rot in the dirt. Does that sound like a good life? Does that sound like all that there is? I'm telling you, brothers, we are coming to the close of that age. The empire of flat materialism is cracked and falling apart at the seams. And that is the best news you've heard in your entire life. And you're not alone. Because the truth is simple. Materialism makes you intellectually, spiritually, and psychologically retarded. It retards your ability to see reality as it actually is. So let's talk about why the lie is ending and how we get our minds back. Before we pull back the curtain on this materialist lie, we have to understand how we got here. And to do that, we need to talk about worldviews and presuppositions. Now, don't tune out. I know it sounds exciting, but this isn't some boring-ass college lecture. This is real life shit that should be mandatory in all levels of education. It should be one of the very first things you ever learn.
So if you look at definitions of words, you agree they have multitudes of definitions, right? Well, those are applying often to the distinctions in worldview. When I say spiritual as a Christian, I'm looking at that from a Christian view, right?
Sure.
If you say spiritual as a Buddhist, are we saying the same thing?
I actually think in a way you probably are, but the structure that underpins that is different. But you're trying to point at the same thing, which is whatever it is that is greater than human beings somewhere. And I'm pointing to the sky because that's kind of.
But the way we view epistemology, ontology, cosmology, everything is going to be completely different.
Right.
So when we say that word, we may be pointing to a concept which is similar, but we're actually pointing at something which is different. Meanings of words are going to change with worldview. From the progressive worldview, you are a Nazi. And I wish
because
more people...
I don't agree with them.
I wish more people would accept, well, it's not just because you don't agree with them. It's because from that frame, from that worldview, right, they're going to perceive you as being a white nationalist. You're a person who thinks that white people are above other people.
Why? Because
you're arguing against mass migration. And the only reason you would do that is because you want to see more white people.
But I'm an immigrant myself.
Doesn't matter.
Well, but no, it does matter though, because that doesn't make any logical sense.
Doesn't have to. Worldviews don't have to make logical sense, but they are the prism in which we interpret the world. And so every debate that you have and every conversation you have, I wish more people would go in them understanding this concept. Worldview is what shapes your interpretation of all of reality around you. It shapes the meaning of words, how you interpret them, what people mean by the things they say and what they don't mean by the things they say.
A worldview is not a philosophy book you read and put on a shelf. A worldview is the pair of glasses you don't even know you're wearing. It is a lens through which you filter every single piece of data that enters your eyes. It's the set of unquestioned underlying assumptions about what is actually real, what is good, what is possible, and what a human being is actually for, what a human being actually is. You don't think about your worldview, you think through it. Stay with me. And at the bottom of every worldview, there are presuppositions. Think of a presupposition like the foundation of a house or the starting point that you accept before you even put the keys into the ignition of your car. You don't prove your presuppositions, you use them to prove everything else. For example, if you presuppose that your wife loves you, you interpret her making you coffee in the morning as a sign of affection, an act of loving you. If you presuppose that your wife is trying to poison you, you will interpret that exact same cup of coffee in the morning as a murder attempt. The physical fact, the cup of coffee, is identical, but your presupposition completely changes the reality that you inhabit. Every single person watching this is operating from a set of presuppositions. Yes, you. And this clip from Jonathan Pageau illustrates this perfectly. Check it out.
Depending on what it is that I want or what it is that that is attracting my attention for reasons, that's how the facts will organize themselves. When I visit my friend, their house is organized based on my relationship with my friend, right? I'll notice the family pictures. I'll notice, how it's decorated and how it reflects, the personality of my friend. I'll see that the table is set and that I can come and sit at the table. And my relationship with my friend and the fact that I'm going to visit them is going to structure the facts of the house based on that purpose. Now, if I'm a thief that enters into his house, right, it's the same house, but I'm not going to see the same things as the friend does. My facts are going to get organized in a completely different set of priorities, right? I'm going to check what's valuable. I'm going to see how do I get out of here without getting caught. And so the field of possibility that will kind of appear to me will get organized into other purposes. And there is an indefinite amount of possible hierarchies. If you call a repair person to your house, and they will have their own hierarchy of facts that they will care about. If depending on who is engaging with the space, there will be an indefinite amount of possible hierarchies that will structure your perception of facts. Now, some of you might say, "Oh, Jonathan, you're postmodern. Like, that means that anything's possible. That everything is true, and there's no objective truth, and everything is relative." And it doesn't mean that at all. Right? It doesn't mean that at all, because each purpose yields a true hierarchy of facts.
There is no such thing as a neutral person. There is no unbiased observer. The guy who says, "I don't believe in any of that religious stuff. I just look at the facts." He's lying to you and he's lying to himself. He has a massive, heavy pair of worldview glasses strapped to his face, and he is totally blind to the frames. He is presupposing that only the things that we can measure, weigh, and dissect are real. He's presupposing that his own brain, which in his worldview is just a random accident of chemistry, is somehow completely reliable in finding objective truth. Seriously, think about how wild that is. If your brain is just a highly evolved bowl of organic soup that developed to keep you from getting eaten by a saber-toothed tiger, why on earth would you trust it to tell you the truth about the origin of the cosmos? You wouldn't. But the materialist just skips past all that. He just grants it to himself. He presupposes his own rationality while standing on a worldview that makes rationality completely impossible. If your starting point is wrong, everything you build on top of it is going to be crooked. If you start with the presupposition that the universe is dead, meaningless, and accidental, you will inevitably build a life that is dead, meaningless, and accidental. And you'll think the only way to find relief is through material means. Enter the addiction, mental illness, and antidepressant crisis we find ourselves in now. So, Where did this dead universe operating system come from? How did the West get infected with this mind rot? It didn't start yesterday. And contrary to what they tell you in school, it didn't start with this heroic age of enlightenment, where smart guys in powdered wigs started rescuing humanity from a dark age of faith. That is a liberal lie. The roots of this disease go way back to the ancient Greeks, specifically to the school of thought called Epicureanism, founded by a guy named Epicurus. Epicurus claimed that the universe is nothing but atoms and the void, just tiny hard particles bumping into each other in empty space. Yes, they knew about atoms back then. He said the gods don't care about us and there is no life after death, and therefore, the highest good in life is simply to avoid pain and maximize peace of mind. Basically, comfortable pleasure. It was a worldview designed for cowards who wanted to hide from the heavy weight of glory, hard work, and responsibility. In the early Christian church, we saw a spiritual cousin of this called practical Pelagianism. Pelagius was a monk who basically argued that human beings aren't fundamentally broken by the fall. He thought that you could fix yourself through your own raw willpower, moral effort, and by rearranging your external environment. It's the original self-help grift. It's the idea that you can earn your way back into wholeness without God just by checking boxes and managing your external conditions. But the real disaster happened during the French Enlightenment in the 1700s. A group of radical philosophers, guys like Baron de Holbach and Denis Diderot, took the brand new tools of modern physics and used them to perform a metaphysical lobotomy on the Western mind. They looked at the clockwork machines of their era and said, hey, look at that. The universe is just a big machine. And if the universe is a machine, then man is just a smaller machine. De Holbach wrote books declaring that there is no soul, no free will, no spiritual realm, and no ultimate purpose. He said you are just a collection of matter in motion, completely determined by physical laws rolling down a hill like a rock. Over time, this became the silent operating system of the modern West. It was wrong then, and it is catastrophically wrong now. Think about the sheer arrogance of it. They took the physical sciences, which are great for measuring how things move and react, and they declared that only things they could measure were real. It's like a guy with a metal detector walking along a beach, finding nothing but coins and pull tabs and declaring, metal is the only thing that exists in the entire universe. I have proven there are no seashells, no water, and no sand. That is the tragedy of the materialist. He has built a highly sophisticated horizontal cage, locked himself inside it, thrown away the key, and then bragged about his own freedom. Now, let's bring this down to where you live, because this isn't about old books. This is about what you do when you wake up in the morning. This is about how you treat your girl, how you raise your kids, and how you handle your pain. Literally every aspect of your life. If you presuppose that materialism is true, even if you go to church on Sunday but live like a materialist the rest of the week, it filters and ruins every single area of your life. Let's look at how this filter distorts reality. Under the materialist filter, what is a woman? She's not an icon of the divine, a unique soul made in the image of God. Nope. She's an economic unit or a dopamine dispenser. Dating becomes a marketplace transaction. You look at her like you're shopping for a used truck, evaluating her utility, her market value, her physical assets, and what she can do for your status. And what are you to her? You're a utility provider, a wallet with legs, a sports coat. When relationships are built on the materialist presupposition of what can I get out of this meat suit, they are doomed to fail. The moment her beauty fades or the moment your money runs tight, the transaction is over. The contract is broken. I mean, no wonder everyone is lonely, swiping on apps and treating human beings like disposable plastic cups. Under materialism, marriage is just a legal contract with an exit clause that is managed by the state. It's a lifestyle choice. And kids are a terrible investment If you run the numbers on a spreadsheet, a kid is a liability. They cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. They drain your energy. They break your stuff. They kill your free time and eat all your snacks, and they don't give you any financial return on your investment. So, if your worldview is built on material calculation, having kids is literally retarded. It makes no sense. So, what do people do? They get cats instead. And they spend their 30s traveling the world, riding the cock carousel in college, chasing cheap dopamine in European hostels, trying to fill the quiet screaming of their souls with White Claws and vacation photos until they wake up at 45 alone in a house filled with cats and a prescription for Lexapro and Xanax. And how do you treat your body under this materialist lens? Well, it's just a meat suit, a biomachine. So you either neglect it and fill it with cheap garbage, or you become obsessed with it like a pagan idol. You go to the gym, you pump yourself full of anabolic steroids so you count every macro. You starve yourself, you get plastic surgery, get a BBW, all to preserve a temporary arrangement of flesh that is destined to be food for the worms, a feast for the crows. You treat your body like an ornament to be admired rather than a temple of the Holy Spirit to be transfigured. This is the biggest one. How does the materialist handle suffering? If there is no soul, no eternity, no God, then suffering is completely meaningless glitch in the system. It is a waste of time. So when suffering hits, and it will hit you, brother, life will break your jaw eventually. The materialist has zero resources to handle it. He has no framework, so he has to numb it. He runs to the bottle, he runs to the needle, he runs to the joint, to the dispo, he runs to the doctor for a pill to make the bad feelings go away. He becomes a slave to comfort because he cannot find any purpose in his pain. Now, guys, let's take off those rotted materialist glasses and put on the Eastern Orthodox Christian worldview for a minute. And bear with me. We don't look at creation as a collection of blind, dead, accidental matter. We look at creation and we see that it is shot through with divine meaning. In Orthodox metaphysics, we talk about the logi. These are the divine rational principles, the intents, the purposes, the ideas of God embedded in every single created thing. A tree is not just a collection of cellulose and carbon. It has a logos, a divinely ordained reason for being, a purpose to reach up toward the sun and declare the glory of God. A home is not just a pile of 2x4s and drywall. It has a logos of hospitality, of safety, of being a micro temple where love is practiced. And you are not a meat suit. You are a microcosm. You are a physical body and a spiritual soul united in a mystery designed for theosis, which means active, eternal participation in the divine life and love of God, becoming like Christ. And that gives you a framework for every single problem that arises in your life. And a lot of people will get this part wrong. Matter is real. Matter is good. God created it. But matter is not the ultimate. Matter is meant to be transfigured, not worshiped. Now let's look at the difference in decision making when you're wearing this Orthodox Christian lens. Dating is no longer a transaction. It is a search for a wife in Christ, a unique soul with whom you can carry a cross and become one flesh. Marriage is not a lifestyle contract. It is martyrdom, a holy mystery where you die to your own selfishness so that something divine can be born. Kids are not liabilities on a spreadsheet. They are eternal souls entrusted to your care, a physical manifestation of love that will outlive the stars. Suffering is no longer a meaningless glitch. It is the fiery furnace of the cross. It is the very tool God uses to burn away your pride, your illusions, your addictions, and your weakness, refining your soul like gold. I know this because I have lived both. When I was running on the materialist lens, listening to what all of our leaders were telling me, even when I had the money, the status, the drugs, and the women, I was a walking corpse. I had everything the materialist system promised, and I was completely dead inside. My healing didn't happen because I changed my external conditions. It happened because I met the one who created the conditions and submitted to them. You don't have to take my word for it. Just open your eyes and look around. The materialist worldview is eating itself in real time. We are watching the grand finale of the materialist experiment, and it is an absolute disaster. Just look at the fruit. We have a loneliness epidemic that is literally killing people at the same rate as smoking. We have collapsing family structures and birth rates all over the Western world, feminism causing so much degeneracy, and when a culture decides that comfort is the highest good, it stops having children. It chooses extinction over sacrifice. We have a catastrophic mental health crisis among the wealthiest, most materially secure generation in human history. We have insane ideologies being propagated to us and our children as we watch them dismantle everything that holds civilization together. Why? Because human beings cannot survive on bread alone. We cannot live without a why. The elites in Davos, the corporate overlords, the tech billionaires, they don't see you as a human being made in the image of God. They see you as a data point, an economic unit, a carbon emitting asset to be managed, manipulated, and fed digital dopamine until the day you die. They want you to eat the bugs, live in the pod, rent your clothes, and stare at a screen completely detached from the land, from family, and from God, from the ultimate source of life. Own nothing and be happy, bro. They want a flat world because a flat world is easy to control. If you have no soul, you have no sovereignty. If you have no ultimate purpose, you are completely malleable. You will obey whatever authority promises to keep your bio machine comfortable and safe. But I'm telling you guys, people are waking up. The system is vomiting itself out. Men are looking at this sterile, corporate, digital landscape and they are feeling a deep, righteous disgust. They are realizing that they've been sold a cheap, plastic imitation of life and they are hungry for the ancient, heavy, real thing. We are starting to notice that we voted for our own slavery. But fear not, the collapse is not a tragedy. It is a mercy. God is pulling the rug out from under our own idols so we will finally look up. The question is, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to keep wearing those rotted materialist glasses? Are you going to keep letting a dead accidental universe be the ultimate interpreter of your life? Are you going to keep running the spreadsheet on your relationships, your family, and your soul? You can reject it. You can reject it today, right now. You have that power. You can take those cheap plastic glasses off and throw them in the dirt and smash them under your boot. You don't have to live as a slave to comfort and dopamine. You don't have to let the corporate machines tell you who you are. There is a worldview that is older, deeper, and is actually true. It has stood for thousands of years, unshaken by the rise and fall of empires, scientific fads, or economic crises. The Orthodox Christian faith is still here. It's not a soft, fluffy, preachy religion designed to make you feel good about your sins. It's a warrior's path. It's a call to take up a cross, to wage war against your own passions, to subdue your flesh, and to transfigure the world around you, to stand for truth. It is the call to become a micro-logos, to take the chaotic, broken, fragmented facts of your life, your addiction, your depression, your anger, your broken relationships, and through the grace of the Holy Spirit, order them into a beautiful, holy cosmos, getting your whole person realigned to the Logos. Stop looking for wholeness in the dirt and look up, because the Logos is calling you out of the darkness, brothers, and it is time to answer. Anyways, like and share the video, subscribe for more, and stay unchained.